Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Manchester City, of course, beat Arsenal 1-0 last night. Sorry, not yet. Yeah, it was yesterday. Yesterday in the FA Cup. And it was an important victory. It really was. And there was plenty to take from that game. Of course, this is 5 things that we learned. So there's 5 things that I want to talk about that came to mind after Manchester City's victory. Of course, there's still plenty more. There always is. And that's what the match reaction is for. And of course, any future videos that I'll do this week. But today I want to draw a little closer on a couple of things, a few things as of that I personally thought stood out. Don't forget, beforehand, if you do want to help support the channel, please hit that like button. You can see the live subscriber counter right there. Let's try and get to 65,000 and a half. Let's try and get another couple of hundred subscribers. Keep it going. I'd love to get to 100k by the end of this year. Ain't gonna happen, but I absolutely love it. So the more we like the channel, like the video, and all that kind of stuff, it does help. So thank you very, very much. And of course, don't forget, if you want to help support the channel a little bit more, over to youtube.com/member, Esteemed Kompany/join, become a member, or maybe Patreon. If you don't want to, no worries, just keep hitting the like button on these videos. It absolutely is appreciated. And of course, go and give the retweet of this video as well. So, where are we going to start with this? The place I want to start, Alvarez is the spark. He was the spark yesterday. A Manchester City side right now, in my opinion, crying out for a little bit of creativity, a little bit of chaos amongst that control. And Alvarez, when he came on against Arsenal, offered pretty much all of that. City were looking functional, organised, but not particularly impressive, in my personal opinion, in that first half. We were looking fine. We were looking good, but we needed a little bit of magic. And often this season, Manchester City have lacked a little bit of magic and maybe a little bit of unpredictability. All the great sides having an immense amount of control and consistency and bravery, but most of them also have that unpredictability and magic at the heart of it. And right now, this City side doesn't seem to have that much. And Alvarez, when he came on yesterday, a man willing to drop a little bit deep, was willing to try things that others simply weren't. That snapshot, of course, that led to the goal, a rocket of a shot that hit the post, of course, then to Grealish and then to Ake for the goal, was the exact kind of bravery and feistiness to his game that Manchester City currently do lack, in my personal opinion. We lack someone who's just going to make things happen. KDB, of course, can be that guy, but his form is not currently there right now. And we used to have more dribblers in the pitch, and people would run at people a lot more often with pace and dynamism, chaos bringers. And we don't really have that. Alvarez is chaos in a nutshell. He really is. He's aggressive, he's dynamic. And I think he brought so much to Manchester City yesterday that I do want to see him in the team because he deserves to be. He really does, in my personal opinion. Alvarez is a man that should have a shirt. Like, I don't know what it means in terms of, in terms of people not being in the side. It's difficult, and I'd hate to be Guardiola having to try and do that. But Alvarez right now has got so much quality that he's making things happen. He was the spark in that game. He was intelligent, picking up the ball just off Haaland, trying to make things happen with his technique and his ability and his feistiness. Lovely stuff, and a lovely footballer. Second thing I took from this game, Jack Grealish, man. It's happening. I think he's consistently impacting the game now. And of course, another assist. Grealish right now is just playing good football, man. And let me just quickly look at his stats. Jack Grealish on who scored. I'm going to see, look at his recent performances. But he's getting involved and he's creating stuff. So in the last few games, he's had an assist, of course. And then a couple of games before that, he scored. Then a couple of games before that, an assist again. And a couple of assists. So since the Leeds game, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, he's had 4 assists and a goal. So he's had 5 contributions in the last 8 games. And he only started, how many of them? I think 6 of them. So fair enough. So the Grealish, in my opinion, is starting to make a really positive organisation impact on the team. Now, he's not been the superstar that maybe we wanted yet, but I think it's really obvious that right now he's in the team on merit. Like, he's creating goals and he's getting involved a lot further, and he's running at people as well. He's so much more aggressive than he used to be. Jack is a quality player that doesn't even play in a team wholly suited to his game, in my personal opinion. And I don't think he's the guy that we want him to be in terms of the dribbling winger. We want a guy who takes people on out there. That isn't his game, and that's not his fault. But his game should be moments like the Ake goal, the assist he got when he kept the ball really well in tight spaces and then found Ake for the assist, that should be his game, and he should be really good at that. That doesn't require beating 3 or 4 people. It requires his close control and his intelligence on the ball, and if he does more of that, fair play to the man. And of course as well, his attitude has been impeccable, so hungry, working really, really hard. And Grealish right now, he's in the team once again on merit. I would love to see Foden in the team because that means he's there when he deserves to be, but the man who deserves it is Jack Grealish. I want to see Jack Grealish continuing to believe that he belongs in this Manchester City side. And I think he's starting to feel that way. I really think he's starting to get it. It's starting to click. And like for me, that is really encouraging because Jack Grealish is such a talented footballer. Maybe he's not the flying winger that we wanted as City fans, we want to see after watching Sane and Sterling over the years. But he's still a very talented footballer who offers a lot more than he's been offering for the past year or so. And I think we're starting to see those encouraging signs. Nathan Ake is an example to all. He really is an example to all, Nathan Ake. I absolutely love him. Honestly, do you remember when he joined and everyone was talking about Nathan Ake being a massive waste of money? £40 million for a player who's just got relegated with Bournemouth. Then he had a slow first season due to injuries and not being able to get on the pitch due to a settled defence. And everyone talks about Nathan Ake being a waste of money. Ake is an example to not just the players, it's an example to me and you as well. An example of humility, grace, leadership, consistency, hard work, and talent. How far it will get you. Ake stayed around, man. Stayed around, proved his quality, and showed immense leadership and immense personality. Ultimately, he is in this team right now because 1, he's a very good footballer, but 2, he's an even better person. And that does matter, man. It does matter. Ake is quality. He's a quality defender, doing an unfamiliar role for what it's worth as a left back stroke centre back for what it's worth, and he's done so well, and he's starting to prove people wrong. He's an example as well of the need for patience. Now the current boo boy is Calvin Phillips, and everyone's going Calvin Phillips isn't good enough. You know, another guy for 40 million from a team struggling in the league at one point, another guy struggling with injuries. Maybe Calvin Phillips isn't good enough, I don't know, but what I would say is I don't know yet. And Ake is a good example of why you should be patient with certain footballers. It takes a lot longer for some people to acclimatise than it does others, and it could be that, you know, we need to be patient with players because Ake is a good example of why we need to be patient. He's been fantastic recently, and right now he's one of the first names on the team sheet for Guardiola because, once again, the quality that he's got and that personality. The way he shut down Saka yesterday, by the way. Saka had one of the quietest games he's had this season, and Ake was impeccable. And of course, he's not just defending brilliantly as well. He's got he set up a penalty with the pass to Gundogan against United the other day. Was it against United? Was it a penalty? No, it was against. Who was the penalty against? It was Spurs. I can't remember. Was it Wolves? I've forgotten. I've just forgotten. It was Wolves, wasn't it? And of course, as well. And now he scored the goal. And of course, as Beppe said, he's got the poise of an apex predator and the eyes of a kind woodland creature. A devastating combination. It really is. Nathan Ake, I love him, man. I love him. I think people like him are what makes the team a team. Basically, you have to have people like him in the team because they do fight for every single ball as if it's the last chance they'll ever play a football game. And they are captains. They are leaders. He's intelligent, eloquent, a fantastic footballer, and an example to all for patience, and because it is a virtue, patience, it really is. You need people like Alvarez, you need people like Ake, and maybe one day we'll need people like Calvin Phillips as well, which is why I think we should be very, very, very patient. The next point, what I make, we do need Bernardo Silva. Manchester City, you know, currently we're playing a team that's a realistic team. We're not playing our dream 11 in my personal opinion. This is a Manchester City side that's defined by one word: compromise. This is a City side that Guardiola's picking that he thinks deserves to play right now. Not necessarily the 11 most talented footballers that Manchester City have. And that's come due to Guardiola's own words: hunger and passion issues. Maybe a few players are looking elsewhere. Maybe a few players fancy a change of scenery after winning so much in the Premier League. But for me, we do need them. We do need them. We need our best 11. We need people like Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva yesterday, when he came on the pitch against Arsenal, was impeccable. There was a real quality to his game that was evident from the very first minute. And I hope we see that Bernardo Silva again, because he's been out of favour recently, and he's been out of form too. I do wonder if his head has turned once again. He's made it very obvious in the press and publicly that he wants to go back somewhere closer to home. He wants to play in sunnier climates, and that's absolutely fine. I understand it. As a man who lived in Manchester all his life, I understand it. I'm sat right now looking out at a grey sky in my I live in the northwest. I can see a grey sky. Bernardo, trust me, I get it. But while the January transfer window was open, maybe he was tempted. But right now, it's about to close. You're clearly not going anywhere. I don't know why I'm talking as if he's watching this, but if he is, you're not going anywhere. And these fans, they love you, mate. This team loves you, and your teammates love you. So we need Bernardo Silva. In the same way we need Laporte, we need Kyle Walker, we need Cancelo and Phil Foden back to their best. Because Manchester City, to put it simply, they're a better side when these players are at their very best. If they come back, we can actually win this league. If they find their best, we can win this league. But I don't think we can win this league without Bernardo Silva focused, without Cancelo focused, without Foden focused, without Laporte, whatever, all these people. We do need them. And we can't really ignore that, man. We can't. It's just a fact of life. Bernardo Silva last night looked fantastic, and it was a real reminder to me of the quality that he's got when he came on. There was one bit where his first touch was over someone's head, and I even got chatting to a United fan today. I went into the local coffee shop, and I was there ordering myself a latte, just chatting away, and the United fan was like, oh, God, Bernardo was good when he came on last night, wasn't he? I was like, yeah, it really was, man. Like, the quality that he's got is another level. And we need to find that. We need to find it, and we need to do whatever we can to calm these players. And I'm sure Guardiola will. And moods can be temporary. Young superstar footballers are emotional, like we all are. But eventually, you play a good game, you score a goal, the fans cheer for you again, and your problems of yesterday feel not quite as big. They don't feel quite as big as they did. And all of a sudden, you settle into it again, and you just crack on. And hopefully, that's what will happen. Ruben's in the chat as well, saying 6 Ruben is a good luck charm. Again, he was again, by the way. I haven't got to the 5th point yet, but Ruben, I'm not kidding, he came on the video again, and guess what happened? City won again. Just saying. My little son, he's the good luck charm. Finally, we got a long way to go. Now, you could take this in many ways. How do you think I meant this? Do you know what? I'm not even gonna explain what I mean until you guys in the comments interpret it. Because there's many different ways to interpret it. And maybe the other different ways are, maybe they're right. There is many ways you could take this statement and twist it. But I do think that very much sums up the insecurities of football in general. To me, how I mean it is that I actually think in terms of quality, Manchester City have a long way to go. New York City said 1 game at a time. That is also one interpretation. Absolutely true. It could be a long way to go for Arsenal. It could be a long way to go yet in the title race. It could be a long way to go in terms of improving. That's personally how I meant it. But I'm going to talk about all 3 of those different interpretations. The thing for me is I watched City last night. Even though we won, there's still a long way to go, man. It sort of touches on the previous point. Like, we are grinding out wins, but we are nowhere near back to our best. And we need to find that. But the thing is, the beauty of this phrase here is it does show that there is a long way to go. We can still win games and grind results out, but there's so much football left to play that there is time to sort that. And all we need is one player to come back to form and then maybe someone else to follow. And before you know it, that man that Guardiola's hugging, Arteta there, could get a little bit tetchy. It could be. Arteta wasn't a happy man in the press conference, by the way. He looked defensive. He looked a little bit tetchy. I don't know why. They did play a few players, senior players, but they also left it sort of unspoken. Like, they didn't really put the strongest team out there, and they would turn around and go, "Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that we did because we lost." But having said that, the one thing I would take from the game is that there's only one team against Arsenal in the league that can have the ball more than they can, and that's Manchester City Football Club. And they would have learned that last night, because even when the big guns came on, Odegaard, Martinelli, City still had more of the ball than Arsenal, and we locked them down pretty well. We did. And even though we didn't play great football last night, Arsenal must have left that pitch thinking, they're still Man City. It's not the Man City of old, but they are still Manchester City Football Club, and they could frustrate us. And if they ever get going again, they could really chase us and they could really scare down. Football is very complicated. Football can switch just like that, I don't think City are playing anywhere near the best. I think they have to be much better. There's a long way to go in terms of the talent gap of where we were and what we should be. Having said that, if some players come back to form, which I think they might do, Bernardo and Walker yesterday, they were exciting. If they can do, and given how many games are left, given the pressure that could be on Arsenal, given the football's tendency to a narrative, strange things could happen. Charlie said, what do you mean it's not the Man City of old? What do you mean? I guess what I mean is City aren't firing in all cylinders. Right now, Charlie, I would argue the football's quite pragmatic. It isn't free-flowing. It isn't pacey. It's quite conservative, the football. It's relatively predictable. It's relatively direct. We work the ball slowly, but then we sort of just try and whip across into Haaland. And to me, it's a little bit functional as opposed to brilliant. We used to be a death by 1,000 passes, but still magic and still creative and still intuitive. But right now, I'd say we're very functional. We sort of force it as opposed to massage it, if you know what I mean by that. Like, we're just a little bit more blunt as a team. We're not quite as smooth and creative and fluid on the eye. And I think City, they're a bit of an imitation of themselves. But I still think that's there somewhere. A fit Foden, a fit Cancelo, and fit Bernardo Silva, and a happy Bernardo Silva and all those players, and Laporte. We're a different proposition entirely because we need that quality and that intelligence. And I think and hope we could do that, man. I do think Kyle Walker as well, by the way, his little cameo I thought was really encouraging. As much as I love Rico Lewis, a fit and firing Kyle Walker is just a different beast altogether. It really is, man. Like, Kyle, obviously, defensively, is such a rock. And, you know, it's really, really important that we get people like him back. So I do think City, you know, there's lots to talk about here. Loads to talk about. And it's weird because I don't think we learned loads from it. But I do think a small message was sent. You know, that even though that was a swapped out team, City still found a way to win, and we still can be frustrating defensively. And, you know, even when all their big players came on, we still did enough to frustrate him. So I think we can be relatively confident that something was heard. Something was heard. Guys, thank you for watching this video. These are the 5 things that I took from the game. Of course, I went for Alvarez being the spark, which I think he is. And I think we need him on the pitch more often. Grealish is at the moment on the up, and I want to see him get better and better and better because it really does help. Ake right now is an example to all in many, many ways, and we need to pay attention to the story of Ake and what it means for Manchester City. We need Bernardo Silva and Cancelo and Foden and all those others back because they make the team so much better. And we've got a long way to go. Thank you for watching this 5 things that we learned. Of course, there was more talking points. We could talk about Ortega looking at, once again, a really good option. We could talk about, you know, Arsenal looking like a very good team. They did. That first half, their reserves are better than our first team, our current first team. But is that our first team, you know? Is that our strongest 11? It isn't our strongest 11. We keep doing that, and I keep doing it too, talking about our strongest 11. But it's not our strongest 11. It's our happiest 11. And that's a very different thing. We need to find a way to get the strongest 11 to be the happiest 11 too. And when we do that, things will change, because that to me is absolutely key. It really is. And Arsenal fans were rightfully going, yeah, you know, but you played your strongest 11. We didn't. You know what I mean? That's the thing. We sort of did, but we also sort of didn't. So I am not necessarily sure that we are the level we're the level that they think we are. You know, we could be so much better. It still could be a great season. Amar is right, but there's a lot of ifs there, a lot of buts. Having said that, you bring certain key players back into the team: Walker, Laporte, Cancelo, Foden, Bernardo, and they start playing good football. Then things get very close. Squeaky bum time. It is indeed. Guys, thanks for watching this video. Please do hit the like button as always. Please do hit the subscribe button. It's massively appreciated. You're appreciated. You're beautiful. You are, really are. Thank you. It's massively appreciated. And of course, if you want to help support the channel a tiny bit more, patreon.com/Esteemed Company. It is massively appreciated. Or youtube.com/Esteemed Company /join. Go for it. Do it. Come remember. It's good fun, I promise you. Guys, thanks for watching. Catch you all very soon. In a bit. Have a wonderful rest of your Saturday.